Okay, let's get this started. Uh, we're gonna we're gonna just try and fix something up in other project for a minute. Um, because it's bugging me and I'm almost there. So forgive me if I start on something that's not my regular stuff, but it is uh it's hard to let go once you've okay, so we're getting 400. Okay, so we're not getting the redirects. We're sending the bearer to errors, response. The input does not contain JSON tokens. Headers. Okay, so we're going to uh, I'm receiving. Let's see what it says. Response. Hey Mojo. Good morning. How you doing? I'm trying to. I was stuck on the game library stuff yesterday evening, and I am close, and I just I need to oh yeah, that's probably the problem, isn't it? I'm a moron. Uh, yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad. A little bit discombobulated. I get used to. I hang out in maybe stream before mine. I get so used to hanging out there because it's nice and chill. And then I'm like, oh, I gotta go stream. So then I'm rushing to get my stuff, which is probably not the best thing. But anyway, okay. So this is just me being an idiot. I can do this later. So basically, I've got the auth working. I can log in now when I go to my collection. It's going to give me a 400 because that's failing. But now what I'll do is I'll put the paging and stuff in on the client side and get there. So then we should be starting to, I should make progress there. Not a stream project though. So this is side project. But I'm having a lot of fun. And also this is my, Claude exploration code as well. So yeah. Uh that's cool. Okay. UX pilot there. Jut. All zero. That. Okie dokie. Game Trove 25 gets closed. Last night I was struggling. I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. I was stuck. And basically, instead of having that, so you need an instance of a game tracking context to create a repository, right? So instead of doing that, this code, I had this. And I was wondering why my requests were hanging. And I look back at Liquid Sky and I look back here and I'm like, because every time I try to resolve a context, I return it by resolving a context which is throwing an exception. I've just put it in an infinite loop of resolution because it's got a reference that it can resolve, so it's basically just a Stack Overflow. So yeah, because get required service will call the thing, which will call the thing, which will call So anyway, I think I made that point anyway. Sorry, the trackball in my mouse is being really sticky and it gets on my nerves. So hand sanitizer on trackball to clean surface. Clean the inside of the ball. Much better. Okay. Apex, good morning. How are you doing? Mediator Sagas, is it? Like I'm so used to using the trackball now. I like it. It reduces my pain in my hand massively. But if there's a little bit of dust or dirt inside the trackball, it drives me crazy that it's not super smooth. So I'm not bad. I'm not bad. Uh, Wait till we get you on a split keyboard. I have split keyboards. I just don't like them. I have keyboards in the closet that, yeah. Yeah. The only remotely split keyboard I've ever enjoyed is the Microsoft one, the old school one, the Intellis whatever it was called, IntelliSense keyboard or whatever it's called. The only one I've enjoyed because it was pivoted enough that it was my arms were in the right direction, but it still felt like I was on a keyboard. Wow, that lost me a follower. Fun. Okay. So let's do this. Uh, One day I'll figure out this the vertical streaming thing as well. So I've noticed, by the way, this is for what it's worth. Doing the vertical streams puts you in YouTube Shorts, which gets you much more visibility. And I've noticed the streamers, that even doing racing games, I've noticed that their numbers have gone through the roof, like 400, 500 followers in the last. So it's increasing the view hours and increasing the follower count, which I think is pretty impressive. So, as always, I'm experimenting with that just to see what happens. You've got to experience the two-piece split with trackball right next to your hand. You mean what? Link the keyboard that you mean? I think I know which keyboard you mean. Is this the stupid? Uh, Not stupid. That's dismissive. Is this the keyboard that Deflux promotes with the trackball right on my right thumb? Okay. Anyway, let's get this moving. I am going to later on, by the way. I know I'm jumping around a little bit. Uh, my thoughts were a little random right this second. I got to calm myself down a little bit, but um, maybe and I have talked a little bit offline about like LinkedIn posts and stuff, and I think later on today I'm going to do a post on Liquid Sky, like promote the stream through LinkedIn, which will expose me to more of my colleagues. But I think I'm okay with that now. Just next to the right keyboard. Oh, you mean if I have a split keyboard, have it over to the right? Yeah, because I mean, my mouse is currently sat almost a thumb's width from my keyboard. Yeah. Why your LinkedIn post feel targeted? What do you mean? Oh, planning. It wasn't. It was 11 o'clock last night. I'd seen a post, someone saying basically, agile is they basically made the whole like agile is being able to change your mind, and I'm like, but you need a plan. Agile needs some form of plan. It needs some sort of vision. So that's what triggered that. It wasn't anything personal there. Yeah, like it's a we we have jokes about it. We fall back into it so often. You know, like we fought like, oh, you know, waterfall with sprints, right? Or whatever jokes we make. Yeah. Delta, hello. So yes. So what we need to do here is we need to produce a saga that is started by basically the same thing. New file, saga started by command handler, SBN CS. And that's going to copy that, but this is going to be a command. And the problem here is that's not going to handle command. And is Saga notification handler base. We basically need a mimic of this that is a I command handler. So let's create that. So yesterday, Nest was kind of guiding me a little bit, giving some advice on aggregators and stuff like that, right? And it made me second guess my design. And the reality is, I don't know what I don't know here. I don't know all the problems I'm going to face. So the code that I write here has to be code that I understand, so that when it does fail, when, not if, when it does fail to meet the needs, I understand why it doesn't meet the needs. I still think there's holes, but I think there's too big a picture to be able to fit it all in, right? And all the planning in the world isn't going to help it, because I just need to see things work, and I'm not at that point yet. So, I'm going to proceed with the sagas for lack of additional experience and knowledge, right? Because they solve the problem as far as I can contemplate right this second, and that's fine, right? So once I get this piece working and I see the workflows, it will open up more options to me, and then I'll be able to comprehend. If you don't know aggregators, not aggregates, it's going to take longer to code them. Yeah. And I'm going to try and fit something into a pattern. I'm going to try and fit something into a thing that I barely comprehend, labeling it in a way that I don't comprehend it. If later on someone goes, oh, by the way, this is that, and I look at it and I see the comparison, then I would happily change this to align to what it really is. But right now, this solves my problem. Why not learn aggregators? Well, the aggregators is a pattern. All I was given is a pattern, right? So I've got to figure out how that works, and the differences to what I'm doing with sagas. Is it the same thing? Am I achieving the same thing with the different tool set? I've got to understand that, right? And that's what I'm saying. Right now, I have enough context of what I'm doing that Saga is fitting in my head. It is, I know which pieces I need to develop and make work. And when those work, I will be able to proceed and handle the pieces I need. So it's fine. So later on, again, it's not being afraid. I'm not afraid to change the code later to make it better, right? Yeah. Going off and trying to fit. I know, I did. I think we've talked enough at this point. I understand enough of how you're saying stuff. So maybe I don't do things the way other people expect. Maybe this is going to look almost identical. I'm just pasting it so I can see that the identical pieces, and Saga command handler base, mediator, and this is going to be an I command handler. This is going to be I command, and then we're going to rename that T command, right? That returns unit. That's an interesting one. Actually, I think you can do await unit value task. Yeah. Okay. What's that? Yeah. Why learn anything, to be fair? Yeah, I don't know the context here. Doesn't encourage learning. Yeah. So, what is the same? What is different about this, right? That's annoying that they're subtly different. That's very annoying that they're subtly different. Trying to get a product out with limited time, and it even at extreme, it's more extreme than work. Yeah. Well, it's also why I'm actually, um, I want to get Liquid Sky to a good place. So I need to focus on the infrastructure. This is foundational, right? These people, like I said the other night, these things are foundational to my design. So if I can figure these things out, even in their most basic form, and test them in their most basic form, I have a structure to work with. I have a pattern in the overall code to work with. If later on that proves to be deficient, I can change this piece while the rest does its job. But if I don't have this in place at all, and I leave it till after it's gone live, and then there's other demands on my time, this piece that will take quite a lot of effort cognitively and actually developmentally, I won't have the time for, and it will not be the best it can be. So right now, I'd rather spend the time to understand this piece, get it done, get the foundation in there, and get the other pieces working, than I would try and do this later on. So the challenge here is I orchestrate notification is my notification. I think we got to do that at this point, right? That might break other things. Public interface. I orchestrated. Command is an I command. GUID. Right. And if we're doing that a little bit cleaner. So I'd have to repeat that property. Orchestrated is orchestrated, right? I orchestrate. Right, so this is going to be I command, I orchestrated command. Right, and that's that. It's not null. Is null. That's fine. That's intentional. No, I didn't forget. It can't have a null command. It requires a command. It's the tooling trying to get me to, because I'm using that. Like if that's null, then I don't need to do it. Then this command was sent incorrectly or whatever. But I don't think that's actually possible at this point because I've said that T command has to be I orchestrate command. So other things will break, right? So now what I've got to figure out is basically this is the common. So a notification handler base and a command handler base are identical except for the thing they pass in. That needs to be an I orchestrated notification, which will make that redundant, right? So the code won't compile an identifier. So whatever command you have has to have an identifier. That identifier is what will orchestrate this saga. So everything right now, yeah. Does that need to be GUID for the null check? No, the null check was basically because I had I command or I notification there. No, it's fine. It shouldn't be null. It can't be null. If I'm passing a nullable GUID, that's that's wrong. I need that ID. An instance of the saga will orchestrate around that identifier. Every command that is passed will pull for that orchestration ID, the saga, so that they correlate. So if I have 10 events that come in with the same orchestration ID, they're all working on the same saga. But if an 11th event comes in with a different orchestration ID, it's a different saga that it's working on. Right, so that's the orchestration ID. So what to focus on first? There is a slight difference in the how here. So this and this I handle. That's the problem. I'm started by this is going to change. Where do I pull the template from? That's going to change because I need to have an extra check. In here because everything right now assumes I handle an interface name. So that checks that I am started by. It doesn't check what the internal of that is, right? Because I need to do Saga command handler base. Now this is the same. This is actually handle command. Handle command. And that's that. Handle command is handle command there, right? Again, I'll come back around. Obviously, they're almost identical. It's just this that's the difference. But right now, I need to figure out this part. So they're started by, and I'm only going to start it by a command. I'm not going to handle commands to a Saga. But you should be able to start a Saga by a command, like, you know, and the purpose of this is I do not want to use domain event, so I do not want to have to go and store the object, the notification request in the database to then trigger a domain event, or even handle that request in the code to then trigger a notification. When I can just send the command that says send notification, and that will kickstart this Saga, which will then do the rest. But right now, there's so much context that so much context to fit in my head. I fear that I need to I feel I need to brain blank. There's so much context. I feel I need to get the pieces in there so that I can see the failures, and work through them. The biggest problem here is I've chosen to use a NuGet package for this, and that slows down development, because obviously if I publish a NuGet package, I'm not using local NuGet. Actually, I could add in local NuGet and pull a pre-release version out with local. That would give me the best way of making that happen. But basically what I'm saying is that I'm started by command. But as I'm saying that, what I'm thinking is there's actually more to this than I realize. We might not need what I've just done. Let's build it out. So notifications, Sagas. Let's add a command handler. So let's add a process notification request, right? Public record command. That's going to receive the parameters of the notification, right? So instead of doing this, we're going to say async await sender dot send new process notification request dot command. And in here, That's worrying. I don't have a cancellation token on that. I probably need to fix that. Oh no, that's a mass transit. That's not me. Oh well. Uh, fair enough. You have to post and you get remote right now to pull it in. Yes. Yeah, because I'm treating it as a third party dependency. The fact that I'm doing active development on it is not ideal. But that's partially by design, right? What I don't want to do, we used to pull the NuGet in from a local folder and push local. Yeah, I can. I've got a local baguette server, so I can push to it. It's just a workflow that is messy, but I feel that that helps you pause to make sure that the use case you're building is a necessity. So that library, the idea of the library is that it's a generally useful utility. If I'm, I just pointed out the NuGet file. If I'm using, if I'm changing the code based upon my application's requirements, which in this case, yes, I am, because I'm actually working through that use case, then I've got to question the why. What I'm thinking now is, as I was talking through that, and again, this is why rubber ducking is so useful, right? This basically takes them, right? So it takes that. It takes that. Takes that. It takes that. I'm not sure about this yet, but we'll see. I command. It doesn't do anything else. Yeah, okay, that's nice. Yeah, that's the idea, right? It should be a black box. And the problem is if you're doing that in an organization, if I'm doing this for the need of this project, then there's a definite smell, because what about the other consumers of that NuGet package, right? I will break that niche. Now, no one's using my Saga's library, right? No one's using it. If they are looking at it, they're just referencing it. They're not actually using it. So yeah, I'm building the first use case to demo it, so I'm not worried about breaking other people. But if you're in an organization, or even if you are doing what I'm doing, right, I'm building a library that's useful. If people actually pick that up and I go off and change it to meet my use case, then I could break other people's code without even knowing about it. So it is the risk of open source, especially in this nature where I'm publishing the libraries that I think are useful. I could break other people, which ain't good. So we're going to do context message dot tenant source really we're just going to repeat it, are we? That takes source subscription, and it takes event and event occurred on. There you go. Right. So the reason I'm thinking through this a bit more is, what I was thinking is, well, why don't we just send the command from here and that kicks off the Saga? But the reality is I actually need to command handler, command I actually need to make a decision because I need to pull the specifics of this notification to know whether I'm publishing something different. Reason being, in this case, this notification, if this is a scheduled saga, then I need to publish that a scheduled notification has been received so that it updates, it doesn't start, right? And in this case, I'm kickstarting a saga, so I need to publish a different kind of message. So I need to know what I've actually got before I do it. Rambler Geek, good afternoon. Hope you are well. How is work going? Okay, ads are going to start shortly. Not that affects any of you guys, which I very much appreciate. Okay. So basically what I might need to do is not even do this next piece of the sagas thing. I might want to revert that, right? Yeah, I'm going to revert that for right this second, because in reality, if I push what I have here, this will fix the bug that prevents the sagas from being used. So if I do that now while I'm working on this other piece, by the time that's actually got through, I should be okay, yeah. Work is fine. Nothing blew up. Straight into a meeting with an external dev company. Oh, fun. Fun. YouTube is not receiving enough video. Users will receive... Oh. That's not good. If you're on YouTube and you are watching, you are always welcome to talk. Yeah, the chat is shared, so you will see Twitch chat and they will see yours. So feel free. I drop frames. Apparently, I'm streaming 10K up. I have 3 streams going apparently, but I'm not sure where the third one's going. Still yet to figure out if the no, it's complaining about it. But anyway, if you're on YouTube, again, welcome in. You're more than welcome to join the chat. I'm always interested in what brought you here as well. So let's get the thing. I wonder if I could listen to an audiobook while I streamed. I wonder if that I wonder if that confused me. Possibly. Mediator Outbox, Kafka, Mediator Sagas. I'm just going to do the PR into main and do the push of the well, would it be a distraction for me is the question, not necessarily you. If I'm listening to an audiobook, would I still be able to talk? Okay, let's delete that branch. Let's check out that so we don't end up pushing that branch again. Update. And if you are new to the stream, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to share. I'm happy to talk about what I'm doing as much as I am doing it. And yeah. I'm trying to learn my way around. This will be 0.0.9. Create new tag. Correct namespacing of Saga handlers. Publish release. Whoop. Okay. So let's move on from that. So over here, realistically, so I'm going to implement this as in I know what I'm exactly doing, right? iNotification publisher. Now, notification publisher is Mediator's internal pub/sub component. I use that widely for domain events, and I'm relying upon it here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish, notification received in this case, and that will kickstart the Saga. So this might be like notification received, and that event is going to come from here, right? And that's going to contain whatever information it needs to contain. I really do need to make an orchestrated notification and iNotification eventually, but yeah, we're not going to worry about that right in a second. And when that's received, it will kickstart this. So now this will make the decision as to whether it's got this change activity. So again, the thing here is I've got to try and get all this in mentally, this picture in my head, and figure out which IDs I'm using where. This is where right now I don't know what to test or how to test it, so I can't write a test. But once I see it, I should write a test to validate it, because then I know what I'm validating, right? So this is where TDD doesn't work for me, because I don't know what I don't know. I'm trying to make it up as I go, writing the code to make sense to me. So when we get told send, notify user a change, to the outside, that is a simple fire and forget command. It's go do that now, right? You've got this now. This consumer will consume that and then process that request. In here, ultimately, I need to check to see if do I need to check this? Notification received. Can I use the same event for two things? Also, should the Saga be the thing that determines whether it should be processed or not? Overthinking. So if I do publisher dot publish new notification received, right? That is a notification. Subscription identifier is subscription identifier. Again, this is the domain event internally to this system. I make that a record? No, it's not. It's a class. Get set. That isn't the orchestration identifier either. I need the extra information on there. Subscription event identifier. Event identifier comes from, and again, this is going to be the hard part. When I process a planning item change, I take the subscription. The subscription gives me what the settings are. So when I store, oh crap, I need to start Liquid Sky up again. I need to do this. I need to go here. CDD. Where's Game Trove 25? New window. Dev projects. Game Trove 25. CD configuration deployment. Docker compose down. ./services up. I need to make all the scripting changes to this as well. There's too much stuff. I run a SQL server for that, and I shut down Liquid Sky when I do that, but then I need to flip around again. That's why that's necessary. So I don't know if you saw it in maybe stream. But I installed an app called Whisperflow to test this morning because I saw it on a YouTuber video, and so far it did pretty good at narrating for me. So what you do is in here, process notification request. To do need to coordinate on the event identifier. See if it does it. That's actually pretty good. So you hold Control Windows key. So I was watching someone use it for Claude last night, and they were basically narrating what they wanted to say into Claude, and it was working surprisingly well. And so far, it's most voice rec stuff does not get my accent. It misconstrues words all the time. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah. So anyway, that's Whisperflow. And you can tell it not to share your voice stamp for improvement. So it doesn't send the data off. But it even cut my ums and ahs and stutters as I think about stuff out. Anyway, procrastination is great, isn't it? The coordinating identifier here is the change notification, the event ID. I'm pretty certain. This is the event identifier. This is the thing that triggered this. Right? When I On the other side, when I get the change detail, so changes, no, pipelines. Actually, let me do this. Pipelines, almost there. Pipelines isn't its own thing. It's part of the changes world. Right? So changes and pipelines are all part of the same changes project. Notifications and communications are extensions to those things, but they aren't the same thing. So when I process a change, I turn around and publish that enhanced change. Oh, yeah. I publish it, and I have the event ID. Let's be consistent here. That's a GUID, right? Yeah. And that comes from the command. This command has event identifier. And this is called from 14 usages of command. That's because that. So I receive the changes, changes receiver. I call process addition with the event ID on there, which I then pass forward as the event source event ID. Okay, I call it event ID. Okay, let's just keep it with event ID there. So that's the source event ID in the detailed change event. So that comes through there. So yeah, the event ID is my coordinating or my orchestrating thing here. And again, in the event, should my subscription man. In this scenario, the event identifier is a one-to-one, right? I want to be notified immediately. This notification happened. This is the thing that triggered the notification. This is the detail that is the reason for that notification being triggered. So the coordinating thing there is the event identifier. In this scenario, if the subscription is not an immediate notification, i.e. it's not a one-to-one, then the saga that's created is orchestrated by the subscription, not by that. So the event is different. So I have to publish a different event if I want the orchestration to occur. Let's see if this library is updated so I can get these. There's a lot of the red squiggles away. It should have gone through, right? Actions. Oh my goodness, I even managed to fix the publishing. I finally have a little green badge on my mediator sagas. So again, if you're interested in this code, even for the sake of criticism, you're more than welcome to take a look. Let's go back to Liquid Sky. Again, manage NuGet packages. How many have updated today? Really? None? Oh, there we go. Azure Identity. So right now I'm using a singular NuGet package, a project level package, a solution level package thing, because I want to keep all these consistent. The risk of doing that is that I upgrade a package and I don't come around to that piece of code for a while, because I continually update these things to make sure that I'm not falling behind. But what it could mean is that I end up diverting myself onto bug fixing that wasn't necessary if I'd have stayed where I was and picked my battles more wisely. That is the cost. Ultimately, in an organization, these would potentially be repos of their own, with some shared repo behavior, right? Because all of these different components can live standalone. Like, so the entire changes component could live in its own repo. I could combine them all as repos, but they could all live in their own repo. I just think at this point, that would be too much of a management nightmare for me to deal with from that perspective. So let's do this. Right. Publish notification completed. That's fine. Is or are my source generators now at least doing what they should do? No, they are not. So let's clean. And so let's do this. Let's remove that. That stops that from being a problem. That's that. Let's build and make sure at least certain things work. I need those source generators to generate the right Saga code. That's fine. Await task.complete. And again, if you have any questions, more than welcome to ask. Because we have a quiet stream today. There we go. Okay, so the generators are working properly now. He says. Using notifications. I don't get it. You're not working, but you're not failing. They're not doing what they should do. As far as I'm aware, clean should remove the generated code. But it's not doing. But it's not breaking either. So this Saga is valid right this second. Let's do this. Let's refactor this. Adjust namespaces. There we go. Because it should pull in domain events, because notification received is in domain events. So these generators definitely should reference domain events, and they're not doing. But it's also not breaking like it was. So it's like they are working, but not. Yeah, but it's not like it's generating the wrong place. Projects, packages, generators 9, Saga's 9. According to that, it's all good. Let's just move on. So the notification I receive here has to be based upon what it is that this subscription is. So ultimately, I need to be able to pull an iRepository of subscription, right? Repository, to understand what that is. var subscription equals await repository dot one first to default async specification. Do I have to do a specification? Yeah, new subscription by identifier spec command dot subscription identifier. Right, we create that class. Is a specification of subscription and an I single result specification, and that's going to be identifier, and that's query dot where s goes to s dot identifier equals identifier. So that's there. Move to folder. Specifications. That's that. So now we can retrieve the subscription. Now, right now, that actually does very little because it just validates that I've got the two pieces in place. That will ultimately contain the thing that determines which event I publish here. That's why I'm trying to figure that out. So, realistically, the domain event here is not notification received. It's immediate notification request received. Trying to describe the behavior, trying to describe the domain, right? You ever let the intrusive thoughts take over? This morning I've been fighting off. What if I just give up on trying to wrangle this team? Public queued event source event identifier, right? And that is actually source event identifier. Morning, Mr. Anhold. You know, a little truth in every joke. I mean, yeah, hard to talk about on stream, but the most important thing you have to remember is no. You do not owe any employer, any business, any vertical your sanity. Right? Yes, you get paid to do something. However, is the toll it takes on your personal relationships and personal life worth the effort? You should always measure that. You do not want to wreck your personal relationships because the work is just taking its toll on you. That's never healthy. I've been there. I have saved myself from that. So I have asked those questions. You're not alone, but you have to remember that you got to look after yourself. So I'm going to put all that on there. And right now, again, the subscription, you know, Right? So this Saga is going to be triggered by different events, right? That's the purpose. So, and it's why if the notification, if this change activity has been received already, right, for this subscription, interesting. Change activity won't come on a subscription. Source event identifier. Right, I've got to try and align that. So based upon my preferences, again, right now all I'm dealing with is the immediate case. But what happens if that is a what happens if that's a weekly subscription or a daily subscription? Those messages are going to mount up and trigger at a certain point. Those events are going to continually come in, and the saga doesn't really end. It just says, oh, I'm going to fire again tomorrow and see what we've got. Right, so its behavior is ongoing, and only when you delete the subscription would you delete the saga. So, yeah. So in that case, you'd kind of handle subscription removed as an event and determine whether you need to remove this subscription. So right now, what we're going to do is going to do await publisher.publish new immediate notification request received. And this is going to take, again, the source event identifier, source user identifier, the subscription identifier, and the tenant identifier. Cancellation token. What do you like about that? Has 3 parameters. Handlers. What? The collection of handlers for the notification. Receives a notification and a collection of handlers for that notification. That's not how publish works. As my fiance was walking out just now, I told her, remember, God gives these toughest battles to his strongest warriors. She looked at me puzzled. I told her it was more for me than her. Like, you're weird. I might be losing my sanity on Tuesday morning. No, you're fine. You'll be fine. It's all fine. It's all fine. Oh dear. Okay. Why is publisher not published? Await publisher not publish. That's not iNotification publisher. Await publisher dot publish. That looks more like what. So notification publisher is an internal API that essentially figures out the handlers and then sends it through. Yeah. JetBrains prices increase in October. Okay. As long as the tooling improves, I don't really mind. Being told that a former employer is hiring constantly by LinkedIn is getting annoying. Right until you know about an upcoming change to pricing, subscription pricing, locking current prices. How much are they increasing by? If they're increasing by significant amounts, the actual pricing can be found on the page. So my subscription renews in November. So I will be very pissed if they get brains. Why are you not doing well here? For individual use. What? New pricing from October. Oh. Hold on. I'm paying that now. It's gone up $6. It's $6 for me. They've upped it for $10 on all products. Oh, 18. So on the IntelliJ, it's up to $30. Dot Ultimate is up to $50. Yeah, they've made it more value to buy the entire pack. They've just put better value on the entire pack and to hold on to the subscription because after the third year, you're paying $179. Like first year 300, second year 239, third year onwards 179. I'm paying. It says 179 on November 21st. Renew. Yeah, I can make it the next. What does it say? We're writing to let you know about an upcoming change. Locking current prices for up to 3 years. As an individual subscriber, you can renew at today's rates for up to 3 years before the new pricing takes effect. It's a clever way of just getting a bunch of money up front. Yeah, 3-year purchase. That's a great way of just saying, hey, you can save some money. I mean, it goes up $6 a year, but it could go up again $6 next year, right? I only have Rider and I'll be going into my second year. Second year went up more than the first year. Yeah. Well, no. Second year is 239 up from 231. So it's $8. First year, $10, 8, 6. That's how it's gone up. I'm tempted to do just a 3-year locking because then it just works, right, for me. Um, and then the pricing doesn't affect me for the next 3 years. So okay, there you go, done. I am their best case scenario. I've just given them a chunk of money. So considering how much I use the tooling, it is worth having. And I want to use more. So anyway, so we're going to publish this immediate notification request. I don't like this. This doesn't feel right, but basically what's going to happen is, let's say this is the immediate notification Saga, right? And we started by this, and now when we receive this change activity, we're going to do other things. So, nope. Immediate notification Saga is going to be there, right? That's going to be that. State carries with it everything else, right? Source user identifier. So the idea being that we do state dot state. Do we do state dot? Oh, it's because I've called it state. I've called that state. What an idiot. I've called the class state, but which hides the property state underneath. Yeah, let's not make it abstract. Let's rename this one to be. Again, if you are new to the stream, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions, you're more than welcome to share. I am currently working on trying to implement my Saga library. So I am, and in between getting distracted by other things. I need to stop looking at other things. Keep clicking on the wrong tabs. This hides the underlying problem, right? So the underlying value. So what is this? This is notification info, right? So state dot source user identifier equals event source user identifier tenant. Come on, you can do it. No. There you go. Okay. So we handle that. We set the current state of the object. Ultimately, what we need to do is we need to say if we have the change activity, right, then we complete the Saga. If not, we persist this data and move on. Right, so public override is complete, get set. Here's the codes of an all paths. Is complete, but it calls anyway. Yeah, brain isn't ready for that part yet. So I need in here, I need an iRepository. Actually, I don't need to do a sender yet, so let's not do that. We need an iRepository of change. So change activity received, we'll record a change event, and the change activity will have on it a source event ID. I need to go through these and figure out some things. That looks horrible. That's fine. And so what I need to do, hello Taylor. Are you okay? What's the matter? Yeah. I'm thinking that I might need to make these asynchronous. Can I do that? Oh, don't what's the matter? What's the matter? Yeah, you tell me about it. What's the matter? Yeah. Hello. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Being distracted by a dog. Um yeah. Anyway, today is not this day. I think I might need to make these asynchronous. I just don't know quite how to do that right this second. Are these asynchronous? These are asynchronous. Handle is not. So if we deal with that, does it solve the problem? Initialize. I think I need to make these asynchronous. If I don't, then I can't. Then I'm going to end up with hacks in the code where it's just not going to read correctly. So handle here invokes handle notification. Handle notification is there, but our handle where? Hold on, have I lost behavior there? In generators? Saga.handle. I think I need to make iHandle. I think I need to make that a task. Let's make that a value task. And let's make that a value task. iHandle. Started by iHandle notification where is an orchestrated notification. They're just signal interfaces. That's a signal interface basically because it's just that. Okay, so then obviously that breaks all that because these are now all not asynchronous. Task, value task, return value task dot completed task. That fixes that. That breaks that because all these now don't implement that. That's pretty quick that it did that. However, we do need to change those generated codes quickly because we need to do await on there. Await Saga, and then await. That should continue the asynchronicity down the path. Value task. Value task. Value task. It's not the end of the world. It's not exactly ideal, but it's fine. Otherwise, what's going to happen is I'm going to have to break the code in terms of the flow. And this is one of the problems with async await, right? It becomes a pattern that you've got to kind of carry through everything. That's fine. Value task. So in the handlers where I don't do anything, I'm gonna have to do that. Interesting day today. Very quiet. No. Just run the tests, make sure that things still pass. That's a good sign. Wait for these to finish and then make version 10. I think I'm going to switch up. This is driving me crazy. I'm bored. So once we push this and get this NuGet package merging, I'm going to switch and finish out the stream on the game library stuff, because it's just right now it's something I want to get finished. Okay, so let's push that change. That worked. Changes establish handlers async to allow await in implementation of Sagas. See, if we don't have that, and yes, I just did that on main, that's fine. If we don't have that, this code is not going to read correctly, right? Because basically I want to do value task, and then I need to do var change activity exists equals await repository dot first to default new change by event identifier spec. This is going to be event dot source event identifier. I didn't pass in cancellation token. That's not going to work. And then basically, if that exists, then I need to end the saga and publish the notification message. So we're going to have an iPublish on complete, which will automatically handle that. And then this one will only happen if this has happened and this didn't exist. And that's going to say, oh, by the way, the change activity happened. Go pull the details and complete the saga, right? So again, it's a very short-lived saga in theory. But yeah, anyway, that's not going to help me. I need to, do I have a cancellation token in there? If I do, then I should pass it. Yeah, so I need to change everything there. Cancellation token. It's just good practice. I do not want to not have this. If I can avoid, so it's not a big thing, it's just you want to make sure it's at least handled, you know? Okay, and then you broke. Because you broke because that's there, and then you go cancellation token dot none, and then you broke because the cancellation token dot none. Then you run that. Oh, and I'll push that, get the NuGet package updated, and then tomorrow I can pick that up and get this working, and I think it starts to come together. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, what are you doing? Did you just error? What was it that errored? Was it this one or that one? No, it's just extra code. Oh, await. That won't help. There's no... Come on. Build. There's no argument. Publishing Saga. I'm giving it you. That's kind of exactly what I did. Why don't you generators.tests? It's all in here. Oh, it's because I'm not passing it through yet in the generator. I didn't pass it through. You're an idiot. Giving myself the chance to do that will mean that the code will work a little bit better and a bit more smoothly. Hopefully, what this ends up with showing is that realistically this is just wiring, and all this stuff still reads correctly, right? So when I get this process notification request, I'm gonna trigger the right event, the right domain event. Those domain events will get listened to by the relevant Saga, and you should be able to follow the flow easily and understand what the actual behavior is. That would be the goal. But anyway, let's switch tacks a little bit here. Dot services down. Dukesoft, hello, how you doing? Introduce cancellation token to be a good library author. If I'm going to use that as a library, then I want to make sure that it supports cancellation token passing from the invoke. How you doing today, Duka? Okay, and again, like I said, I'm going to switch tax back to the game library stuff because it's right now a little bit more fun for me just to finish out the stream with. Otherwise, I'm pretty much burned out on that. Let's see. Yeah. Let's create a release for that. Draft a new release, select tag 0.0.10. Introduce. We almost said Delta. No, I didn't. I wasn't saying Delta. Delta's long gone. Delta went and hung out with Maybe and then disappeared. Unless Delta's taking the day off. Hey Palm, good morning. How you doing? What am I doing? Who am I? What am I doing? Introduce, cancel, wait, into handle. Support. A bit meh. 1 hour wait at the doctor for 2 minutes to talk. At least everything was good. Yeah. That's the better outcome, right? We're doing more zero integration work today in unit tests. Ooh, fun. Better support. Better support the use cases. Allow handlers to be async. Not allow. Think. Publish the release. That will get to NuGet, and then that will go on there. So, back to games library for the last part of the stream. So I've been working on this for a couple of days. basically I have used AI. I showed this last week, right? It's not going to become a common part of the stream. It's just right now it's kind of front and center. I'm enjoying myself with it. So basically, I have the ability to log in, auth 0, right? So if I log out of that and go to log in, continue with Google. I'm debating whether I want to remove user accounts from this yet. My intention is to put this up, right, so that anybody can actually go off and use it. But primarily, I want to be able to do it. Okay, so this is erroring because we do not have paging, and it requires some extra effort. So let's do this. Claude. Let's see if it understands this. What am I saying? That's a lot of code to be doing. That needs cleaning up. Something wrong. If response is directly an array, non-wrapped API. Well, it says if it's an array. Get lost. Handle different response structures. That's exactly what it's doing. Don't comment it. Get all games needs to let's see. I'm gonna see if it understands this from the voice perspective. So I've installed Whisper Flow. I'm gonna give this a try. So what do I want to do? I need some parameters. Let's not set it up for failure. Let's start with start and page size. The get all games requires that I have start and page size. I'd like to implement paging on the games list. Ooh, start. My accent plus me being tired normally causes a lot of problems for voice rec. So that was pretty good that it just missed the T, which is natural considering that I dropped the T. What's his standard practice for pulling auditable entity parameters from an HTTP request? A standard practice for pulling auditable entity parameters from an HTTP request. You mean you're trying to log the requests? And you're asking about a standard practice for doing that. I mean, my go-to if I need general tracing about those things, I'm trying to get the created by and modified by. You could use, you could put a handler in for tracing for requests, so it would go in the pipeline and then it would capture all those requests. That would be one way to make sure you don't miss anything and you don't have to change the code. Assuming you don't have an auditable, so you're trying to get it, well, auditable entity base. Let me see how he uses that one before I go ahead and say anything. Jason Taylor dev, auditable entity base auditable entity. Create by last modified by domain. That's going into the database. You want that going into the database. So yeah, so the way I handle that, I don't audit it, but I could do is in Liquid Sky I have interceptors, but you're not using Entity Framework without having to pass the user into the service layer. Guess what? You don't win that one because you don't have the concept of a request. You have to pass that in. We use an audit model in each of our models we care to audit. This is picked up by a. You don't have. There's no con. It's one of the things I've actually considered is as I go into the application layer, right? I lose context of who's doing it unless I pass it in. Because there's no like who is this request executing as concept in Mediator, right? Behavior middleware and the whole body is sent to be audited. Yeah, so you don't have that bit in there. So you can't not pass who's doing it into it with it. You have to pass it. I'd love to be proven wrong there, because I'd love for someone to show me, oh, by the way, you can do that. The middleware pulls that at the web layer, but does it pass it down into your application? I did it, but you'll never know. Right, because you don't. Are you implementing a middleware after your HTTP request into your application? Therefore, you're injecting the context of a user in any application request. What's the matter, Menace? You a menace? Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta let her out. I'm almost finished anyway, so. But I'll be right back. Okay. So everything flows through DI, and we use that to enrich any custom middleware. We heavily use the mediator pattern for everything, and if we don't, it's refactored to use it. We're dropping off. I'm streaming tonight, though. Thanks for the stream. Apex, thank you very much for coming and hanging out. Appreciate it. As always, don't forget to go follow Apex. He works in his game and shows how to use AI. Or rather, how he uses AI. So do you inject, so in a mediator request, you go and look to see if you've got the user in context. So you're kind of putting a middleware in there for like HTTP context to pull the user out and injecting that into your mediator requests. The main reason we use mediators for this behavior pattern is used heavily for our auditing, and so you enrich the mediator. So, okay, so that's how you do it. You add a behavior similar to how I've currently got, you know, the yeah. Hey Zog, how you doing? The implementing I user details does this. So does every command get an I user details? How do you? Yeah, I could go down that path infinitely, right? Onto how you implement, but it's still not going to help Mojo because Mojo doesn't do any of that. Right. Doing better. How about you? Doing okay. It's Tuesday. Uh, stepping up to be a busy week. Okay, did this do anything? Yeah, let's assume it did something here. Completely. Oh, pagination. There we go. I did pagination parameters. Put them in the URL search. There we go. And it assumes that my response is going to contain total pages and has more. That's awesome. That's going to totally fail. Our pub sub also flows through HTTP requests, so everything is auto-enriched. No DI. Our controller grabs users from HTTP contents and passes. That's the only option you've got right this second. If you were just trying to log it, like it started down the path, if you were just trying to log it on the way through, then yeah, you could potentially you could put middleware in there to put it out. Can imagine a world without DI. Well, our front end, it sucks. DI, I wonder if anyone's ever has tried to build a source gen DI tool. This would be crazy. Logging is not worth it. Yeah, I know. It's a challenge when you're working in a legacy system that implements things that aren't done the way other people have kind of evolved to do. I'm not saying again, I'm not saying wrong or right. It's not necessarily wrong or right. It's yeah, terminate that one. It won't work seamlessly. It will not work seamlessly because if it gets anything, it's going to crash when it returns it. So, no. Yeah, see? 400. What did you pass? Headers. Oh, look, you didn't pass it. Game my collection to do add company info to platform model, that's fine. Filter games. Handle back to console. Oh my goodness me. This code is not funny. I think some have tried source gen DA, but I think the issue comes in with different lifetimes. Yes. Yeah. What? That's just 625 lines. That is far from beautiful. Like this is my again. It's funny when I ask AI which framework I should use. It's like you probably want to use Angular because it's the closest thing aligned to the way you're going to write code in .NET, right? So I look at React, and this is what it's coming up with from React perspective. All these functions in here, all these behaviors in here, and then the code intermingles and drops to the bottom. I wish I had the problem. It feels like all decisions are on me, and then it becomes my problem. No, wait. Angular is way too much time. See, I like Angular. It works for me. But I'm not doing any backend with the React stuff. So the React, again, I was reading the recommendations, and it's like, well, if you're not doing backend, use React. Don't use Next.js. And I don't want to do backend. I don't want to do SSR stuff. That is just too much beyond. Because I'm not trying to do backend code. I'm not implementing the API in JavaScript, in TypeScript. I guess that makes sense. You'd have to figure out how to manage dispose for transients, etc. Yeah. But there isn't much better. Personally, I wish Vue was more popular, but with a lot of China backing it, it's kind of risky to use. I just had the AI write all my Blazor. It just wrote a whole lot of HTML, CSS right in my Razor file. It's like, if it works, it works. If React says use Next.js, it might be worth something. Hey, I was following the advice that the AI gave me. It's not wrong. No, the reason it gave me that is I am developing an API in the backend. It's like you only need the React side, and you can later go on to learn more about Next and stuff after you've figured out React. But I hate this. This is already driving me crazy. I kind of despise the mess they made though with Next.js, etc. because React app was deprecated. Like, really honestly thinking, yeah. So, but this is already driving me. Yeah, pagination params. If view mode equals list. Oh, it did pass it. Start and page size. 0 and 20. 400 bad request. Okay, so let's go over here. So it does support that request. That's the annoying thing. It will give me back a default list size, right? Oh, if I run it and do the right things. Docker compose up. Nope. Come on. Docker compose up -d. Sadly, Aurelia never took off either. I think it had potential. Aurelia was a good path. It was a good direction, yeah. But yeah, I get why it recommended that I don't use Next and I just use React. But I also asked it to follow some design best practices, so I need to go back over that Claude MD file and review that, because if that is what I'm going to end up with, and this is the simplest part of the application so far, I don't want this. The AI said so. AI doesn't stand for actually intelligent. But it collates the information. That was the purpose, right? I was using it as a review tool to identify what path I might go down and what it would be worth learning. And it did make, yeah. But again, I don't want to do backend. I do not want to do SSR. I'm not looking to do a backend piece. And Next.js is to support that scenario. I don't want the mix mode, right? I know I don't have to, but I don't want the mix mode. I don't want that to blur the lines. I want to be able to understand React as it is. So, yeah, a lot of jobs you look at don't look for Next.js, etc. They're looking for React, and I'd like to understand, what does React really look like? This is not improving my sense. This is the idea I had of React the last time I looked, where the HTML and the code are totally intermingled. It's not templating like Angular does. It's total intermingling of code and behavior. And I don't like that. I can't process this. So afterwards, I'm going to have to do a review and figure out, okay, what's the right way to organize this code? Because if this is the way, if this is the recommended path, out it goes, right? Because I'm not doing this. Well, I guess I'm not doing anything today either. I failed at 2 things in one go. Awesome. So this is the apples oranges comparison though. Apples oranges comparison to what? I'm not sure how you would split React from TypeScript. Spar only React framework. I hopes Blazor 2, but I just haven't found it as nice as I was hoping it would be to work with C# in the front end. And I don't like the idea of Blazor too much because of that blurred lines, right? What is my server? Angular to React. I'm not comparing Angular to React. I'm comparing React to what I like to code. That's all I'm comparing. I'm not comparing it to Angular. I'm saying that Angular fits better for me because I can organize things. I like that style. I'm not comparing it. I'm saying that I do not like 600 line code files with all my behavior and my markup intermingled. That's all I'm saying there. I'm not comparing. But it's the framework piece that makes a huge difference, which is, again, the advice I was filtering through on multiple sources. It was coming up time and time again to recommend React. That's what I'm trying to follow this path of what are people being advised to do? What are people being advised to look at? I will follow that path so I can see the journey, right? And this is the journey that it took me down. And I agree with it. It explained why Next.js or Nuxt, if I was going the Vue path, was not the ideal direction, considering I do not want backend. I only want a front end that can interact with a backend .NET API. Come in what you need. Use Vite, I think, to build a React app. Then if you need SSR, put it in with a third-party package. The organization is my framework point, though. Yeah, it said don't use Vue. It said don't use Vue because it is not as popular in... it said Vue and Nuxt are reasonable, but they do not have enough commercial usage to be used in, because I focused it on what is going to get me hired. It said React, Angular, and then down the list was Vue. I asked 3 or 4 different sources. I did a search on Google and I asked AIs. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, I gotta go. So, and I've got to leave quick. So anyway, I will raid out to maybe. He'll be finishing soon. I know that, but he's also working on stuff. So we're gonna raid. Maybe we'll go over there and finish out. There's not that many of you anyway. I will be back tomorrow. I'm going to continue on with this off stream. I think once you add conditions to a Vue Blazor, it gets so messy. I've started building conditional components. It feels like a better template language. Yeah. But again, I don't like C# mixing and it blurs the lines. So personal preferences, right? That's what it comes down to. What can I be productive in? And right now, this is not it unless it can organize it better for me. And that might be where I explore next, right? So we'll see where that journey takes me. So anyway, I'll catch you later. Take care. Thank you very much. And I will see you tomorrow.